Let me tell you a story. Everyone knows that Vincent van Gogh was one of the most famous artists of all time. But what you didn't know is that his life was a failure. Van Gogh died having sold almost none of his paintings and heavily relied on his brother for financial support. The paintings he created were recognized by virtually no one, causing him self-doubt. However, he kept painting despite those failures until he met his death in 1890. Years later, Van Gogh's paintings started getting the recognition they deserved, and he went down as one of the most memorable artists in history. Vincent van Gogh made mistakes over and over again, and didn't see a hint of success in his lifetime. Nevertheless, those trials and tribulations contributed to what he is known as today. What I want you to take away from this story is that to accomplish something, we have to make mistakes. Simple as that. So then why are we so scared of them? This is humanity's unspoken fear. So, why are we so afraid of mistakes? To answer that, we have to go back to the beginning. It starts from when we were babies. We aren't scared of failure yet because we don't know what that is. Over the years, we go through challenge after challenge under the watch of the people there to guide us. They may compliment us if we get something right, or correct us, not always kindly, when we get something wrong. A behavior pattern is forming here. Our baby brains start to associate success with a positive feeling due to the reactions of the people around us. Unfortunately, unkind corrections also creep in as we pair failure with a negative feeling. That is why, when we are surrounded by only ourselves, we can brush off mistakes. For example, if we get a problem wrong on our homework, we can quickly fix it without a second thought, compared to raising our hands in class and getting the question wrong in front of our classmates. We aren't inherently afraid of being wrong. We're afraid of being seen wrong. That experience we're having is called social judgment. So, now we know why we are scared of mistakes. But what effect does that have on our lives? The first downside is that our learning stagnates. Our failures give us a blueprint of what we need to do better. We are exposed to our imperfections and can work to improve them next time. But without that initial sketch, it's difficult for us to know the exact things we need to correct. In school, it can be challenging to solve a complex math problem when you don't write your thoughts out. Same with mistakes. Creativity is another aspect of our lives that is hindered when we run from our failures. We can think of creative ideas as seeds. How we grow those seeds reflects our own individuality. We might forget to water a couple of times or leave them in the shade for too long, but no plant is exactly the same. This is to say, we all have creativity in us. However, when we never plant those seeds because we fear judgment of others, we lose a part of ourselves. This is where external pressure transforms into low self-confidence. The social pressure that comes when we make mistakes can leave us feeling that we are worthless. This can lead us to internalizing the idea of low self-worth. People's opinions may have started as an outside force, but they can slowly creep into our brains like a virus. These downsides are just the tip of the iceberg. Many more negative effects could surface as a result of being too afraid to fail. Nevertheless, every negative weight on the scale can be balanced out by a positive one. Here are some ways we can melt our mental block. One thing we can do is to think about the positives rather than the negatives of failing. We have the freedom to see the glass as half full or half empty, so why choose to focus on the negatives? It might be disheartening when we don't get a question right at first, but when we get back up and correct it, the sense of accomplishment washes away the bitter taste. Beyond that, another strategy we could use is to visualize the worst situation, and it's not often as catastrophic as we imagine. Acknowledge those fears can be real, but they're like shadows. They might seem scary, but once we take hold of the situation, they can't affect us. This process helps our minds to prepare us for what's to come. Our mistakes are a part of us, but they don't define us. Now we know all the colors of failure, so let's look at the canvas of Vincent van Gogh one more time. His life was the initial sketch. The blemishes he made needed erasing. They tore the canvas, creating deep scars of social judgment. Nevertheless, Van Gogh kept painting. The story of Vincent van Gogh was not all rainbows, but that's what makes it human. Without those failures, we wouldn't have the masterpieces we love today. Failure and success aren't opposites. They support each other. The mistakes we make are the very thing that makes the final picture worth looking at. Before this video wraps up, let me leave you with this. I want you to imagine two paths stretching out before you. One is beautifully paved and easy to follow. The view is charming for a bit, but it gets boring after initial impressions. Eventually, it leads you back to the crossroads again. The other path is ragged, overgrown, and thorny. People who have traversed the trail warn you that it's too difficult. Throughout, there are some ugly sceneries, but pleasant ones too. If you follow this path long enough, it places you at the peak of the mountain. From there, you can see just how far you've truly come. Which one will you take? The choice is up to you. Subscribe to join the herd, and let's explore the human condition together. Thanks for watching.